Hey, it's your book hound coming at you with another book review today. If you like what you see here, I hope you'll subscribe. We got all the reviews for the books that make us want to howl. As we say, we got great special offers, all kinds of fun stuff, so I hope you'll stick with us. And today we're going to talk about I Will Find You by Harlan Coben. And Harlan Coben is the man who needs no introduction. He's one of the best-selling authors in the world for a reason. He's very good. He is a great master of suspense. And his book, I Will Find You, does not disappoint. And like a lot of Harlan Coben stories, it's kind of weird, but it definitely hooks you in. This is the story of I Will Find You. So the you, in this case, is a little boy who was allegedly murdered, unfortunately. And the I is his father, a man named David Burroughs. He's in his 30s. He's been sitting in prison for 5 years because he was convicted of murdering his 3-year-old son. And it's one of these weird situations where he knows he didn't do it, but unfortunately everybody else thinks he did, and the evidence is overwhelming that he murdered his son. And even he starts to wonder, did I actually do this in some kind of blackout? You know, he'd been drinking a lot at the time, his marriage was going bad, and he can't believe it, and nobody can believe it, but he's sitting in prison, and he's basically decided to die. He's refused any visitors. He's just sitting there rotting in prison, not doing anything. He's really kind of punishing himself, I guess you could say. He feels obviously terrible that his precious 3-year-old son is dead, and now it's 5 years later, and he gets a visitor, and he doesn't even really want to see who it is, but they sort of force him to see it, and it's his ex-sister-in-law, Rachel, who has her own backstory. She's an investigative reporter who had a terrible fall from grace, some kind of big scandal in her life, and she always loved David, and even David's ex-wife still sort of, whatever, she's just had her own grief. She's moved on, she's remarried, she's going to have a baby herself. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it, but Rachel shows him a photograph that she saw online from some friend of hers, just that by freak coincidence shows a picture of a little boy about 8 years old, and to Rachel's eye and to David's eye, it is very clearly his son, who everybody thought was dead. And it's just, your first reaction is, okay, so they're both crazy, right? This is like crazy time. His son is dead. He was arrested for murder. They buried a 3-year-old boy. Like, who else could it be? And they start to think, what is going on? This is obviously him. So there's all this psychological stuff. Like, is this just like, I want to see this. I want to see that my son is still alive. I desperately want to see that my son is still alive. Now, there's a couple of problems, one of which is that David is in prison. So, he can't really do a lot from prison. So he plots to escape from prison. And then you start to find out some interesting backstory that the warden of the prison is actually his godfather. The warden and David's father were best friends. They're both cops in Revere, Massachusetts. And so without spoiling it, and this is a problem in a thriller that moves really quickly. It's like, how much plot do you reveal without spoiling it? So I think here, I'm going to make up a reviewer's rule now. This is my new rule as a reviewer. You can spoil the plot of the first maybe 20 pages of the book, right? Because you got to tell something of the story. But basically, he escapes from the prison, and he and Rachel go after this story, and it's a very complicated story with a lot of threads that Coben yanks on, and it goes and goes and goes. And, Coben is just a master at this, and you're very hooked in. And it's very lean. There's not like a page in the book where you're like, oh, why are we hearing about this? Every, sentence of the book is taking you further and further into the story the way it should be. And Coben also does something, like I said, there's a reason why he's one of the best-selling authors in the world. He understands something that a lot of really famous thriller writers don't really get, which is the suspense is better when you care about the characters. And he makes you care about the characters, even though in the beginning you're like, this guy's crazy. But it's compelling enough. You're interested. And so you're interested in finding out what happens. And it's quite the ride. So I would definitely check it out.